and Research Council, and we're here to talk about the big talking point right here in South Africa, and that, of course, is the children taking part in the vaccine trial, the Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine trials. They have already gotten their first jabs. This, whilst we've also, on the other hand, heard the good news that the COVID cases in South Africa is on a downward trend. Professor Glenda Gray, morning. Welcome to the program. Professor, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear you now. Did you hear my opening remarks?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. Welcome to the show. And I guess the first question to ask is the safety of the candidates or the cohorts on this trial. And also, would it be fair to say that, or ask, do kids really need to be tested? Do they really need to be vaccinated? Do they not have a natural immunity to protect them against this virus?
Children should be the beneficiaries as well of COVID vaccines. So children are normally the beneficiaries of vaccines, and usually vaccinate children, particularly in the EPI program. Once you've established safety and effectiveness in adults, the natural progression is to then include pregnant and breastfeeding women and children.
Okay, Professor, sorry,
yeah.
Can I just stop you there, please? I don't hear you very clearly. There seems to be a bit of a break. Let's see if you can turn around or just slightly move position there and see if we can hear you loudly.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, let's see how it goes.
Okay, so children should be the beneficiaries of any vaccine that's found to be safe and effective in adults. Normally what happens is once you've established safety and effectiveness in adults, you then move to pregnant women and breastfeeding women, and then you also move to children. So children do need to be part of a COVID vaccine program if you are to try and control or eliminate COVID. And once you have COVID under control, it's quite feasible that children would get the COVID vaccine as part of their EPI program. And so we will see a lot more children getting COVID vaccines at a global level. Already, the US, France, Singapore, Malaysia, Cuba vaccinate their children. In Cuba, any child over 3 years gets vaccinated, and in the US, any child over 12. And so it's very important for us to vaccinate children. Children who get COVID may also transmit it to their elderly grandparents, and that intergenerational risk puts old people at risk of dying. And so obviously to control COVID in the household, we hear stories of children getting COVID at school and then coming home and infecting the whole family. And so a good to keep schools open, to keep our education on track. Last year, 40% of the school year was lost because of COVID. And we can't continue for the rest of for the next 5 years having to open and close schools, having kids learning from, even poor children missing out on their feeding schemes, as well as the kind of increase in child abuse we saw because schools were closed last year. So to keep the academic year open and to also stop intergenerational transmission in the household and to control COVID at a global level, children will automatically become part of the COVID rollout.
Okay, now Sinovac's medical director for clinical research has said that the vaccine has already been administered to about 40 million children aged between 3 and 17 in China alone, and this is a Chinese vaccine. Is it still necessary for us in South Africa to have our children undergo the trials, this cohort group that we're talking about?
Yes, and SAMRC, our regulatory authority, wants to see local data. We need to see local immune responses. Our kids are exposed to TB, HIV, and other pathogens which are different to China. So it's very important to understand local safety, local dosing, and local reactogenicity as well as local immune responses. We need to understand this in our context where we have a lot of TB and HIV and a lot of children who have TB and who are HIV infected. Local data is critical. This vaccine has not only been given to children in China, it's been given to children in Chile as well. So the same, and in Malaysia. And so this vaccine is well studied in children, and we must establish in our study the same kind of profile so that we can move ahead with rolling it out if the government chooses to use Sinovac for that purpose.
Okay, so I understand that the trial is going to be conducted at several sites throughout the country. How were the children, the candidates or the cohorts identified? What was the criteria, and how do the parents feel about the children being part of this trial? And in terms of monitoring, what is the plan in place should something go wrong with one of the children? Should there be severe or unexpected side effects after having been, taken the trial vaccine?
Okay, well, first and foremost, parents have to sign consent to allow their children to participate. Vaccine trials have been executed at a global level for many pathogens, for RSV, for lots of bacterial infections. And it's not uncommon that children are involved in vaccine trials. So products should be seen as no different to the other vaccine trials that children participate in. So first of all, participation of the child is regulated by the Minister of Health, by the regulatory authority, SAMRC, and by the local ethics committees. And the trial sites that have been appointed are sites that are well known in the community and who are well known to do vaccine trials. And so there's a lot of trust in the community about these sites because they've been working since 20 years with vaccine trials. So there's a lot of trust. A lot of the participants, in some of the sites, parents who've been involved in COVID vaccine trials will have come forward because they've had a good experience. They like and trust the researchers, and so they're willing to allow their children also to participate because they've had similar experiences themselves for going through vaccine trials. So they know what to expect, and they trust the sites. All safety is well monitored. And because parents who have participated in other trials may come forward with their children, they will know the processes. For those parents who have not participated in other studies, they themselves may come forward because they feel and see the importance of allowing their children to participate to enable the further registration of this product in South Africa. So this is a commitment to South Africa, it's a commitment to science, and it's a commitment to trying to find solutions to end the pandemic.
So, Professor, finally, once the trial is over, how soon, obviously, and if it proves to be very safe to go ahead with vaccinating our children or the 12 to 17-year-olds, how soon will that then start happening?
Well, I think that the SAMRC has approved the Pfizer for children over 12, and I think depending on government stocks and affordability, we hope to see children vaccinated. But first of all, we must get to all the people who are vulnerable and who need this vaccine. Children, hopefully, I'm hoping that children will be vaccinated, start to be vaccinated as part of the national rollout next year, once we've been able to mop up most of the adults. But they're going to be critical to helping us keep the pandemic under control.
Finally, we do know that we've moved to level 2 as far as the lockdown is concerned. That is certainly good news for the country. But your advice to the citizens of South Africa, because the moment, I'm thinking that people might just throw caution to the winds. And we do know that we have a large group of anti-vaxxers in the country as well. They could spread the disease very rapidly if they don't start applying their minds, take safety precautions, and go ahead and vaccinate.
Yes, that's true. I mean, we should use this time, other the infections are going down, to ramp up vaccinations and prepare us for the next wave. We also know if we don't vaccinate people, and in people who are chronic shedders, that's where the virus can evolve. And so to try and stop chronic shedders, to try and interrupt transmission, it's important for us to ramp up vaccinations at this time. we mustn't throw caution to the wind. So we haven't managed to eradicate COVID in this country. There's still low-grade transmission. And in this low-grade transmission period, this is where viral evolution may happen and may propagate the next wave. So we should try and use this time, first of all, to vaccinate. And secondly, we mustn't forget, we must wear our masks, we must wash our hands, and we must make sure that we're in well-ventilated rooms. And so don't throw caution to the wind. This pandemic is horrific. All of us have lost friends and family and loved ones and colleagues. And so we must do our bit and make sure that we don't continue to spread COVID in our communities.
Thank you indeed. And when can we expect results on this current trial on the children?
Hopefully, in September, October, hopefully we'll hear about the preliminary results in the new year. It all depends on how quickly the sites enroll their children. And the faster we enroll the children, the quicker we'll get our results. The children will get 2 doses. And so obviously you can only start evaluating the immunogenicity after the second dose, which is in 21 days' time. And so it's very important for us to try and rapidly enroll the children so we can provide to the government the data they need to make a decision whether we should be using Sinovac for our children.
Look forward to that. Professor Glenda Gray, CEO, President and CEO of the South African Medical Research Council, talking about the children that are undergoing the trials for the Sinovac vaccine right here in South Africa. 8:33 exactly.
Thanks.
Durban, KwaZulu-Natal has been the hardest hit by the